Well, hello, this is your instructor again. It's time for the beginning of another week in our class. And I'm so glad that you are watching this instructor video so I can give you some insights, some tips, some highlights of what to expect coming up this week and in the coming weeks. We're changing this week to a new speech. This one's called the TED Talk speech. And it is really a persuasive type of speech, which is different than the first two speeches, which were more informative in nature. So we need to first talk about when would in your life would you ever use persuasive speaking techniques? Well, I want to tell you, you use them just about every single day in your interactions with other people. Sometimes you are trying to persuade them, sometimes other people are trying to persuade you. For example, in personal relationships, many times we have decisions that we have to make. You have some ideas, or your people close to you, your family, your friends, they have ideas as well. And so we use these techniques to help persuade the other person to make the right decisions that would help both of you in your relationship and help each one of you individually. It's also used in employment. For example, many times a person is in a position where their job is to try to persuade others to purchase something, to buy something. They're a salesperson of some kind, selling ideas, selling plans, selling products. And we are many times through advertisement, we are being sold things ourselves. So it also affects us as a consumer because many times persuasive techniques are used unknowingly on us, and they're very effective. People spend millions of dollars in order to get you to purchase or to buy a certain product or idea or service. And of course, in politics, it's used a lot. And we're in a season now where politics is very important, and we're making decisions locally and the state level and the national level. And so we're seeing persuasive techniques there as well. So what you'll be doing is you'll be doing a presentation of 5 to 7 minutes to persuade someone on a topic of your choosing. Now, the first thing we need to start with is let's start with the definition of a persuasive speech and what makes a persuasive speech different than an informative presentation. Well, the informative presentation, you're primarily attempting to give information to someone for their purpose. And their purpose you're not concerned with as a speaker as much as you are with a persuasive. With a persuasive speech, you're trying to get a person to either change their point of view on a topic or you're trying to reinforce their point of view on a topic. You can do either one. For example, a coach that is noticing that his team or her team is not doing very well will many times call a timeout and give that team a persuasive speech to motivate them to do things differently than they are recently doing them so they can win the game. Now, their objective, both the coach and the players, their objective is the same, and that is to try and win the game. And so it's not that they have a different point of view, but the coach in that case is trying to reinforce the point of view by saying, let's do these things differently so that we can achieve our goal, our mission to win the game. Now, many times you'll be attempting to change someone's point of view. Perhaps they don't even have a point of view. And one of your jobs is to get them to think of something as more important. Or in modern language, we'd say to make something a top priority. Because many people might say that something is important in their life. Let's say recycling is important, but they don't really place a high value on it. It's just one of those things that they think is important along with many other things. So in that case, the speaker's job is to increase how important this topic is to them. So what we want to do now is we want to think about what kind of topic are we going to be selecting from, and then what kind of persuasive presentation are we giving? Because you can give a presentation that is simply to convince an audience. Convincing means that you want them to think differently about a subject or a topic. or perhaps you want them to actually behave differently. That's a speech to actuate. And you're going to give them things that you want them to do to actually change their behaviors. Now, for many of you, since you won't know your audience, it's a dispersed audience and you don't know specifically who it is that you're talking to, you're probably going to be giving a speech to convince more than you are to actuate. So you're going to try to use techniques and strategies to get them to think in a different way than they have been. Part of your technique of doing this, part of your strategy, is to give personal examples, personal experience, a personal story that you can tell about why something is important to you and perhaps what you did about it. And that's the samples that we're going to see in the second video for this week is all about a good story that someone is going to tell you. In the first video, in video one, you're going to learn all the different parts of a story, starting with the hook at the beginning of a story and building up to the climax and then the resolution at the end of the story. So pay particular attention to that first video that really talks about good storytelling, because that should be part of this presentation if it hasn't been in the first two presentations, is telling your story. Now, the other thing that you need to do to make this really work is you need to make a positive connection with your audience. Now, to make a positive connection, you need to have a good story, tell a good personal experience, but most importantly is you need to be looking at your audience. Eye contact is so vital in this persuasive speech, even more so than in your informative speeches that you did for the first two. So I want you to really work on, more than anything else, having a good positive connection with, in this case, with your camera, because that's your audience that you're going to be looking at the camera. You're going to be enthusiastic, have lots of passion and lots of energy, and that's how you can connect, especially with a digital audience. Now, I want to talk just briefly about some of the things that you are going to be seeing in the second video, video two, which basically are three different sample presentations that really are each one of them unique in their own ways. And so the first one is really a young girl who's at the time this was filmed in front of a TED Talk audience, was probably 13, 14, no more than 15 years old. And she was really speaking on behalf of her younger brother and what she noticed from the Hasbro company. And she actually had a passion and she started a website and it got lots of views. And so she's going to talk about how to become an activist, even if you're a young person. So I think she does a very good job. Now, because of her age, she's a little different than you might be because you're not a young teenager giving this presentation. And your topic obviously will be a little different than the topic that she did, which was the easy bake oven topic. But pay attention to it because she does a good job of demonstrating her story. And that's basically what her body of her speech is all about, is really just telling her personal story. The second presentation is all about your body, your physical sense of who you are, and how many times we look at ourselves in the mirror and we shame ourselves, or we feel like in looking at advertisements of what the average or normal healthy body should look like, we don't look anything like that. And so these two young men, they're both teenagers, then they're giving a presentation all about having what they call the beach body and how they don't have it. One of them is kind of a tall, skinny fellow, and the other one is a little bit more weight on him. And so neither one of them really feels like they have the kind of thing that they really want. And yet they should be okay with the way that you look. That's their whole point. Now, their presentation is longer. It's more of a theatrical presentation, more dramatic. So if you're interested in doing something a little bit unusual, such as this second presentation, I'm fine with that. But I would suggest that you let me know ahead of time what to look for. You're not let's say you're not going to give a traditional presentation with an introduction, body conclusion, main points, and so on and so forth, then that's fine to do. You can be creative, and that I hope that some of you will be. But just let me know ahead of time, and maybe even have a Zoom conference to talk about it ahead of time. The last sample is again I think a high school or young college student, closer to the age of many of you. And what he has done is he's going to show how an interest or a curiosity turns first into a hobby, and then now it's turned into actually a job of his, a career. That his topic is to try to take care of baseball players that have retired from the Negro Baseball League that are now not receiving any help, any benefits as far as pension or health benefits or anything at all, especially in comparison to those who have uh, worked in the major leagues and are really receiving some good benefits. They're not receiving any, and so his job was to contact them and try to help them out. So what he had as kind of a simple hobby turns into something much greater. And he's going to talk about his personal story as well. His is more in the, I suppose, the structure of more traditional persuasive speech. But again, it's really focused and centered on his personal experience. Now, after you watch the second video, then it's your turn to start this ideation process for this first week of your speech. And if you're stuck on a topic, I'm going to try to help you out. I posted on the announcements a list of about 10 different topic areas. And what I want you to do is I want you to perhaps look through those 10 different topic areas and pick one that you personally have some experience with, something that you care about, something you're passionate about. And I want you to create what I call a belief statement. This belief statement starts with the words, I believe that. And then you fill in what your opinion is, your thoughts, your reflections on whatever topic area you pick. For example, if you pick gender inequality, then your belief statement might be something like this. I believe that men and women are not treated equally in the workplace as far as consideration for leadership positions, as far as pay and other things in the workforce. And you might have experienced this yourself. Perhaps you are female and you have noticed that you have been ignored, or you've had male counterparts that have, gotten benefits or gotten job positions when you're just as qualified, or someone who has been, but because they're female, they've been overlooked. And that's inequality. And perhaps you would like to see something done about this. And so you can come up with some ideas of what you can do. So that's the first thing is are you passionate about? What is something that you've experienced that something you care about, something you believe in that you can make a change, right? So let's start with that for this week. Use that and fill out the ideation form, all of the different questions that are listed there on that document. And then you'll get a really good start. Now, if you need somebody to talk over things, to bounce ideas off of, I'm available to have a Zoom conference or to use email, and I'd love to visit with you and check your ideas and see if you're on the right track and that sort of thing. Now, this process will probably be for you to first pick a general area, then to narrow it down into something manageable, and then perhaps narrow it down even more to fit into the 5 to 6 minutes. So start that process by first picking a topic or topic area and then kind of going from there. So once you get your ideation document done, make sure to get that submitted, and check out other people's document, give them comments. And if you have any questions, just let me know. So this is your instructor saying, thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading all of your ideas by the end of